Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode number 1 of ADK Talk. I'm Derek Wilburn. I will be hosting these shows, these mini podcasts, if you will. And if you're watching right now, chances are very good that you live in Academy School District 20 in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and you got notification of this podcast or whatever and decided to tune in. If you're somewhere else in our community or somewhere else in our nation, you are more than welcomed here too. Going to talk about things that are important to parents and grandparents and students all around the nation with a special emphasis on what happens right here in our backyard, District 20, Colorado Springs. So some of you may know who I am, some of you do not. Really doesn't make much of a difference, but I live in northern Colorado Springs. Been active in our community for over a decade, for 15, 16 years, most of my activism in the political sphere, but here as of the last couple of years have gotten more and more involved in school board. And the truth is, a lot of parents around our country can make that exact same claim that in the last year or two, they've gotten more and more involved because they've gotten more and more concerned as they've learned what's taking place in our schools. So on ADK Talk, on this show, I'm going to explore and expose much of what's taking place in our schools and in our school boards. And listen, it's not all bad, not by any stretch of the imagination. But what's happened is you have a populace that has been by and large ignorant, myself included. We just didn't know what's happening in our schools. So I live here in District 20. All of my kids have attended District 20 schools. One still does. And like a lot of parents, we found the silver lining in the COVID lockdowns. So the COVID lockdowns of 2019 and 2020 sent kids home to do their schoolwork, to do their online work with all their books sitting there all day, every day. And more parents got to looking at what's being taught their kids and said, now wait a minute. This isn't what I signed up for. This isn't appropriate. This isn't the role of the public education system. That's my responsibility, not the schools. And started looking and peeling that onion back. And what we found out when we started to peel that onion back is that there is a reasonably substantial segment of the education institution that doesn't want parents to know what's being taught and what's being discussed in our schools. And if you want to do something in secret, what does that tell you about what you're doing? And so we started showing up at school boards and getting more involved. So this is just the initial kickoff of ADK Talk. I used to run, and maybe I will again one day soon, a podcast. Some of you have seen it, called Uncle Tom Talks. Was carried by conservativedaily.net. In fact, the archives are still available there. And Uncle Tom Talks might come back. It's a long story. We had some technical difficulties and whatnot. But that was a full-on podcast, 30 to 45 minutes, some of those even close to an hour long. That's not this. This show, ADK Talk, this is going to be more in the 5 to 6, 7, 8 minute long segment. People just don't have the attention span, frankly, to sit and watch hour-long podcasts. That's challenging. That's tough to do. So it's going to be a quick hit. Going to have some guests from time to time. Going to show you so you can see and hear with your own eyes and ears what's taking place in our schools and in our school board. And you need to know. We all need to know. So if you're here locally in District 20 or in Colorado Springs and have thought to yourself, boy, I need to get more plugged in. This show will provide you a venue, an avenue to see what's going on and make some decisions about where and if you want to get plugged in. And if you're somewhere else in the country, I hope this is a catalyst for you to find out what's happening in your community and do the same thing there. Get involved, show up. Your school board members work for you. Your teachers and administrators work for you. The schools they teach in, the buses your kids get moved around in, you own all that stuff. It's all taxpayer funded, and you have every right to know and to expect what's taking place inside of your schools. So we're going to use, the Advocates for D20 Kids, going to use this YouTube channel to start showing you here in District 20 the answer to some of those questions. What's taking place in our schools. So I would ask you today, you only have one bit of homework. Subscribe. So you're watching on YouTube right now, click that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. And then when a new ADK Talk gets uploaded, you'll receive notification. Not going to beat you up. Maybe going to have one or two of these a week. Some weeks, maybe not even that many. But visit Advocates for D20 Kids. This is our organization, Advocates for D20 Kids. Website is d20kids.org. Go to d20kids.org if you haven't already and sign up for the newsletter. There's a box on there that says receive our newsletter. You'll get a newsletter. We don't beat you up there either, usually one a week. And that will have updates as to what's coming up on this broadcast. And then if you hit subscribe right there, every time a new episode gets uploaded, you'll get a little ding and you can watch it. Going to do everything I can to keep these to 5 or 6 minutes, 7 or 8. Maybe 9 or 10 if the content is heavy, because I'm going to show some videos and things like that. And if the video itself is 2 minutes long, that doesn't give me as much talk time as I'd like. But here we go. ADK Talk. I am Derek Wilburn, and you are welcome here. If you are local, get involved, get plugged in. Whether you're local or not, visit d20kids.org, sign up for the newsletter, and come back often to see what's taking place right here in your local school district.